Men are depressed lately. Men are depressed because there is a real correlation between discipline and depression, especially for men when it comes to the spiritual nature. If you consider the spiritual nature of life without discipline, it is very difficult for masculine energy to bring to the world what they came here to bring. And this is the reason many men, more men today than before, and more men today than women, are depressed, are going through anxiety, are going through a lot of mental illnesses, because the word discipline has been sort of vilified, and we are in a culture that rewards us giving our attention to things that have really not a lot of value. The dopamine rush that we get when we engage in things that are trivial is at an all-time high today when compared to 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So a lot of men are spending their time clicking, browsing, swiping through these dopamine hits. And what they're not doing is they're not working on their well-being, the mind, the body, and the spirit. And the mind, the body, and the spirit is suffering for them. And this suffering is manifesting as depression, because literally their life force is repressed. And when a life force is repressed, it's not being expressed out onto this planet. Now, not every form of expression needs to be outwardly expressed. You can also express things internally in the form of self-realization. None of that is happening for men today. The bodies aren't getting stronger, the mind isn't getting replenished, and the spirit is being completely ignored. So for men, it's essential for men to come out of this cycle, pull themselves out of this cycle of negativity and a negative growth. And it's possible. This is why things like monk mode, things like the NoFap movement have gained popularity in the last 10 years. Now, is that the only solution? Is going monk mode the only solution to problems? It's probably not. But what it needs to be said is that if you've spent the last 10 years of your life searching for dopamine, listening to degenerative music, watching things that do not serve your spirit, you have to take a drastic approach in order to even begin to come back to being who you are. The road back to your true self needs radical action. And things like going monk mode for 6 months or a year can help you bring radical action in your life. So this is my message for all the men and also women who have men in their lives that are depressed, listening. That depression is just a symptomology of what is going underneath. Now, this is not to say that there is no biological depression, reasons of depression, because for some people, they're just simply not able to produce enough dopamine because of a biological reason, because their neurotransmitters have been fried or didn't develop in a way that it was meant to develop. And that's not what we're talking about right now. Okay, that's a separate topic. And if you're suffering from a biological, biogenetical depression, then you can speak with a medical provider, and you can speak with a psychiatrist about your mental health regardless, right? Even though you decide to go monk mode, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't take antidepressants. That very well can be a part of your growth plan. But what I am saying is that radical action leads to radical results. Radical action leads to radical results. So if you're listening to this video, I want you to make your thoughts known by writing down in the comment section what you're feeling as you're hearing me talk. I'm sure I'm not the only person talking about monk mode or depression for men, but everybody brings a fresh perspective, brings their own twist to these stories, and that has been my twist because I've worked with numerous men. I've worked on myself for a decade now, and I've seen my life change to an extent that I did not think was possible. So I'm just here sharing my story so that it benefits you from hearing it. And even if you can take one thing out of this story today, out of this video today, that would truly make my day. So, men, if you are feeling depressed, if you feel like you have no purpose in life, if you feel like you're anxious day in and day out, it's time to do something about it. It's time to take massive radical action to bring yourself out of these negative patterns that are no longer serving you. And the good thing about this is, because we know now that neuroplasticity is a real thing, that means our brains can change. And this is a newer knowledge because 20, 30 years ago, this knowledge was not discovered through scientific research. But now we know through scientific research that neuroplasticity allows us to change our mind. In other words, if we are depressed, it's possible to change our mind so that we are no longer depressed. If we are anxious, it is possible to change our mind to not be anxious. So there is infinite possibilities right now. We live in a time where not only the dopamine hits are abundant, but if you choose to pursue the path of healing, the path of healing is also abundant because of research, because of complementary alternative healing modalities, which are equally as powerful for people. So that's what I'm here to say today. If you have any questions, if you want coaching from me, if you want referrals to good coaches, let me know. Comment in the comment section below. This is Coach KP. Peace.